Welcome back to JM Clips. I am Jeremy McIntyre, one of 3 people behind this channel. Today we are doing episode 2 of Scary Movie Miniseries, Frankenstein. Alright, so a couple reasons I'm doing Frankenstein today. If you don't know, I'm a public school teacher, 5th and 6th grade. And I'm only 2 years into the career, but both of these years that I have taught, I have read Frankenstein in the month of October, and it's always a hit with the kids, and they seem to really like it. The version I read is very easy to understand. But I wanted to do a book versus the movie. I just watched the movie, and how could there be Christian themes in this story, in this narrative? And I'll keep it rather short. I don't want to bore anyone to death on the day of Halloween. However, let's just start with some differences from the book and the movie. One, in the book, the scientist's name is Victor Frankenstein, and in the movie it is Dr. Henry Frankenstein. If I remember correctly, Henry was the name of Victor's brother in the original. Perhaps it's either his brother or his friend. Let's see here. Henry was his best friend in the original. So for some reason, they decided to change the name of the main scientist from Victor to Henry, which is odd when there's already a pre-existing Henry character in the original. Anyways. So let's talk about the film from a filmmaking standpoint, and then we'll dive into those ministerial themes. The film has all the gothic noir you want. It's amazing. There are some angles and I guess you could just say the actual cinematography, like the practicality of the shot. You could pause that movie at almost any frame and have a very beautiful still. I forgot what his best friend's name was in the movie. Surely it wasn't Henry too. What was his friend's name? What was his friend's name in the movie? What? They named the friend Victor in the movie. They swapped the first names of the 2 characters. So the scientist is Victor, friend Henry in the book. In the movie, scientist is Henry, friend Victor. What? Who made that call? That's just... I don't know if that was something to do with legalities and being able to put out a slightly different story. I don't know. So, anyways, Victor in the book was a much more compelling madman, I think, than the Henry scientist in the movie. Okay, long story short, movie, gothic noir, amazing. Book, it's all there, but you obviously just don't have the amazing optics. The movie pulled off the sheer drama just based off of the actual visuals I'm looking at. However, the theme and the narrative totally different. So I guess we're jumping into the themes. Mary Shelley, who wrote this at the age of 18, her mom was quite a proactive an activist at the time. Activist, whatever. She was kind of like on the early feminist train, and so whether or not Mary Shelley had political agendas in this or not is just kind of subjective. However, there are some themes of just nature of humankind in general. Firstly, we have a man trying to be God, and this is even said in the movie where a little host comes out of a theater stage and warns the audience about that this man tried to create life without concerning God in the matter. This is very present in the book as well. This sense of creator is kind of what it is labeled, labels the scientist Frankenstein. And obviously we have some biblical references there, kind of like a Genesis, a perverted Genesis, if you will. What I see here in the book is that we have a scientist who seems so driven, it's almost deterministic, yet he has free will. and it is obviously a fallen nature because he cannot discipline this free will in order to not pervert creation. He's trying to be God. This is the first sin. So Eve in the garden, right? Everyone says, "Yo, taking of the fruit." Well, what provoked her to do that? Satan whispered in her ear and said, "Hey, if you do this, you'll be like God." And in that very same manner, Victor Frankenstein is trying to be like God. Even in the movie, he screams and yells at the sky, "Now I know what it's like to be God." And so that this is very present, this kind of twisted Genesis moment here, both in the book and in the movie. And then the monster, one of my favorite lines from the book is whenever he is like cursing at Victor, and he says, "Don't force me to do what's against my nature." Now, if you've read and seen both stories, you know I just kind of gave something away, and that's this. By the way, I don't think I'm gonna have to worry about spoilers. This thing's been out quite a while. But in the book, Frankenstein is articulate and intelligent, and in the movie, he never gets to that point. Now, in the book, he has to grow and learn, and he does this on his own, and he teaches himself how to think and how to speak, and he becomes quite intelligent. And that's why he's like screaming at Victor. He has the ability. He understands what, like even the monster has a fallen nature. The monster perceives that he was born to do good, but because people treat him based off of his appearance so poorly and so inhuman, that he's like forced to kind of seek out this vengeful nature. And he says, "Don't force me to do what's against my inherent nature." And it seems to be that there's this parallel between Victor Frankenstein, the scientist, and the monster. They both have free will, but seem unable to discipline it towards the good. There's this proclivity towards the wrong. And that has huge implications on just mankind, obviously. To my knowledge, I don't believe Mary Shelley was Christian. Let's see here. She was raised in a non-religious household, and yet a secular thinker can realize that mankind has a fallen nature, this inability to do good on their own. Now, that has huge implications because we cannot deny the existence of good in the world. Right? There is good in the world. People love each other. People literally lay down their lives for another. There is good, objective morality. And yet, even a secular thinker, such as Mary Shelley at the age of 18, writes a story that perfectly demonstrates mankind on its own, like a monster, has this premonition, this proclivity towards the wrong choice, towards the immoral. What does that mean? That means a goodness has to exist outside of mankind, because we have not the willpower to bring it into the world. And when we do try to create, it's a perverted creation. So yes, I think there's some heavy Genesis themes here. A couple clips from the movie that were really cool. This line right here, the scientist mentions, he's talking to his professor, and he says, have some patience. You don't expect perfection at once. Take a look.
Come and sit down, Doctor. You must be patient. You expect perfection at once.
Well, anyways, this is significant because perfection cannot be an evolved state. Perfection is inherent and implicit in the genesis of existence. right? Because something that is truly perfect cannot arrive from an accumulative imperfection process. An imperfect process cannot create perfection. Therefore, a world that has good in it must have started in a perfect state. And then through mankind, through a inability to hone in and discipline their free will, we have an evolved imperfect state. Huge implications. Okay, I could keep going and nerd out, but we're going to leave it there. So can Frankenstein minister? You bet your Halloween candy it can. All right, I'm going to stop nerding out. You have a good day. Go watch a scary movie if you feel comfortable to. Have some candy. Stay up late. Enjoy your All Hallows Eve. And have a good one. Bye.